Hello and welcome to another of Sethaldor's World of Warcraft guides. This one is going to be our first ever raid analysis in Blackwing Descent. Me and my guild decided to go and hop in here, take a peek at the first boss. So this should be quite entertaining, I would imagine. This is just going to be some trash. Right here there are 3 bits of trash prior to the first boss, which is named Magmaw. They are 3 Draconoids. And the first one here hits like a truck if you are not prepared, as the dead tank might suggest. This debuff is called Constricting Chains and will apply to 2 random members of the group at any given time, rooting them and causing damage over time. Very unpleasant and should be healed via simple hots. And down goes the first one right about now. Excellently done. Killing trash like a pro. Okay, down he goes. Get everybody healed up. And something you should notice is Glace is still losing health due to that bleed on him, which will not go away until he is above 90% health. So, just something to point out, do not think the fight is over till everyone stops dying. Not till all the mobs are dead, till everyone stops dying. So, now that that's through, we are going to go ahead and move on quickly here to the next bit of trash. Funny thing happens when you take 2 of these bad boys and put them together is they need to die at the same time, or the remaining one will receive a gigantic damage buff as well as a gigantic size increase, which you will get to see in this video. Yay! More pain and suffering for us. So just talking about the fact that we need to do that, and splitting up the DPS as we move in here. There was a question as to whether these are CCable, which they are most definitely not, as you will see by the failed hibernate going off, which does indeed fail. We all start out on Skull, and we're like, oh shoot, we need to split deeps. So I go ahead and move on to X with a couple of fellow guildies of mine, and we start burning. It is very important to communicate in this stage of trash, as them needing to die at the same time, and they also do a tank swap, is very important. Essentially what these guys are is, for those of us who raided Nax, you'll remember a boss called Thaddeus, and he had 2 mini-bosses before him who tank swapped by leaping across platforms, as well as did a comparable amount of damage. These Draconoids also have a cleave, so melee DPS should stay out of the front of them, and also to point out, it is most likely best for melee DPS to stay on one side of the room instead of chase the mob across the room. Not a very intelligent decision to have them chase it, as that will obviously lower their DPS. A 10-man should not have any more than 2 melee DPS anyway if you want to be completely optimal, so that should not be a problem. Just as a staple, they do a lot of damage, as Glace did go down fairly low at a point there. Also, I should note the increased marginal utility of Lightwell and how it has had its utility revitalized with Cataclysm. So you will see that going down, and you do indeed need to click on it, as that will help group heals, as I comment on later. This trash is fairly basic and fairly easy to get a handle on, which is nice because if you're a slow learner, this boss is going to be hell for you. And these are going to be finished up nice and quick right here, and bigger they are, harder they fall. And Arkham almost got 2-shot at the end there, but the mob decided to tank swap, so happy days for us. And now that that's done, we are going to move on to the boss. I'm going to show a little bit of the time that we spent planning and explaining the boss fight to those of us who did not know it, I being one of them when we walked in here. Most of us did not ever imagine going in here prior to this. The triangle that he's placed is where he's going to tank them, and the star he's about to place right there is approximately where everyone who is not a tank needs to be. We're going to start a little bit behind Star, and basically what we need to do is move from the left screen to the right as depicted by that arrow, which is going to be due to a pillar of fire, which I will be pointing out with a few callouts, as well as I'm sure I will comment on when it occurs. be looking forward to that funness. This is the first of two strats that will be showcased in this video, neither of which are successful, as we did not come in here planning to be successful. However, we do get him down to, I believe it was either 78 or 73% on the last attempt, so I will note that. Also, note that what just occurred was giant magma balls being thrown at us. Very not fun. And there it goes again. That is going to be the primary source of group damage, as well as a general lava spew. I do believe I just got hit for 34k from his magma ball of death attack. Not fun. I believe I die from it here in a moment. There was the AoE spew, followed by the magma ball. Much death. And that is Pillar of Fire warning, which means you need to move. Poor Silver did not, and got a giant spout of lava up her butt. Not fun. What it spawns are those little lava parasites, and if you get hit by lava parasites, you will puke and create more lava parasites. I know, it's so fun, right? Wrong. Parasites are not a good thing, and they need to be AoE'd down. Parasites are the primary goal of all DPS in this fight, unless assigned otherwise by your raid leader. Also, being in melee range is frequently a bad idea, so having the off-tank pick them up and kite them is, as noted, a bad idea, unless he can somehow gain AoE aggro, such as a DK Howling Blast, and that is a double spawn of lava parasites, which you never want to happen, even if you're wiping, simply because it's insulting, and that's a lot of little maggots crawling all over your face. Moving on. Here is another attempt with the same strat. We just needed to let everyone get a little bit of a view as to the inside of the battle. Now, I want you to watch Arkham's health here. This is very concerning. Good, low, lower, very scary, very scary. Oh, it's going, oh, no, it went even further down. You don't want that to happen. That's bad. Tank being that low for that long is bad. So make sure you are prepared, your healers are prepared when you go in to be healing right off the bat, as these bosses are all going to be quite ruthless and not give you any time to breathe during any one given phase. There's the Pillar of Fire. A lot of people prematurely moved, which is not a bad thing. Just going to keep DPSing the boss. As noted, that is an excellent idea to put Circle of Frost there. Nice AoE going on. Something I should point out is Moonkin AoE via Hurricane has been severely depreciated compared to other AoEs, so what you want to do is stick with Starfall and your Explosive Mushrooms if you are indeed a Moonkin. Hurricane is not worth the ridiculous amount of mana it is costs, I should say, at this point in time, in my opinion. It is very helpful to have a few hunters. In our case, we had two, as that frost trap helps with the parasites a lot, which is definitely a good thing. And just a bit of DPS going on here. Lots of group heals. Note the light well. A lot of people are very low. He gets another spew out. People are still around 50% or lower. That is the GTFO signal, folks. What that means is if you're on that side of the room like I was, you will receive massive crash as he flails down, beating the crap out of everything in that half of the room, doing ridiculous amounts of damage, almost 66,000 to me, which is half my health. And I die simply because I got stunned and ridiculously smashed. You need to make sure you get away from that side of the room as soon as possible, as that is going to hurt lots. Moving on to our wonderful next attempt, you will see a change in my position of mushrooms. Very interesting to watch the placement throughout all of these attempts, as it takes me many tries to get it right, but when I do, it is highly effective. This is again the same strat that we tried the last couple of times, and we just try beating our heads with this one simply because it's better to stick with the strat until it starts working or until there are obvious flaws with it, because constantly switching one after another on every other attempt is no way to learn a fight. A lot of what we've seen so far, Pillar of Flame on me, get moving, managed to get out of it in time. When Pillar of Flame first spawns, that's usually a good time to grab a snag at your light well if you do have a Holy Priest. So just keep the AoE on the parasites. and burn, burn, burn. You'll see me pop Tranquility right now, which is nice, as it is in line with the rant video that I did, which you should check out, as it's something that you need to understand you can do for the raid, whether you are a DPS Moonkin or a Resto Moonkin. Sorry, DPS Druid or Resto Druid. You need to understand that popping out of Moonkin form to keep everyone else alive versus upping your DPS even further may be the appropriate thing to do, and when it is appropriate to do that. Also, when we go back and forth between Pillars of Fire, there's that GTFO signal again. Luckily, it was on the other side of the room, and there he goes down, and no one gets hit by it. So, GG there. I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, very important to know everything about your character, very important to keep everyone alive. Those two chains that you see right there are the gimmick of the fight. When he crashes down like that on the side of the room that's smoking, two people jump on him and throw chains to that spike, at which point they pull his head down on it, is what you're seeing here. This causes him to enter a Deconstructor Heart Phase type thing, where you attack an exposed head plate versus his body. Something to note is you do ridiculous amounts of damage here, and also you need to re-app all of the debuffs that you have on him. And third point on top of that, tertiary, is any dots you left on his body are either dispelled or remain inactive until he pulls back up to this phase. So you cannot, if you're an Affliction Warlock per se, get double the dot action on him if you do it appropriately, unfortunately. And this looks like another wonderful wipe. So, that's that, and hopefully we'll see a little bit more success in the next attempt coming up here. This is the attempt where we try the second strategy, which I'm going to explain to you here. You'll see 4 raid markers. I paused it. The yellow and green are where the melee is going to move in the event that the side that they start on, which is the yellow, gets covered in smoke. That is the signal to move to the green, and when I say melee, I mean everyone but hunters, including tank. If the green side gets the smoke, then the tank will move to everybody else. The red and blue markers are for the hunters. They will start at blue, and they will get the Pillar of Fire, as Pillar of Fire only occurs on targets at range, and they will move to X and back and forth. As you may guess, we still must help AoE and kill the ads. So as we move into DPS here, this is the first attempt with that new strat, so a few people aren't quite sure. A couple were standing too far back, so we had to pull them in here, but we get everybody in, we get good to go. And lots of flame orbs, lots of fire. You'll see the interesting camera angle I've chosen. Basically, if your character's facing the boss, you can always DPS the boss. If your camera is facing what you need to be watching in case you need to help, i.e. the lava spouts. Oh yes, more of that. More of that. That little gold circle thing, same as Efflorescence, only for Holy Priests. Need more of that in this fight. Cannot explain how effective that is at group healing in this fight. Need to see more of that. If you can Swift Mend to drop that Effervescence. If you can do that Holy Word Sanctuary, do that Holy Word Sanctuary. If your Holy Radiance is up, use Holy Radiance. Even if you're not a healing pally, use it. But as I was saying, it's helpful to watch the fire spouts in the back where the hunters are dealing with it, simply to understand what's going on, and also watching your positioning, as we had lava worms spawn right behind us there, which is ultimately what wiped us. So that was our first attempt with the new strat. There's the GTFO signal then, and it didn't work out too well. So I'm going to show you one more attempt with this strat, and then our best attempt. This one I'm going to let you watch on your own with a little bit of music and stop blabbing my mouth away. So, how's that for an attempt? Hopefully you saw some things without me having to point them all out. That's going to be very important when you come in and attempt this boss yourself with your own raid group, as being aware of what is going on around you is very vital in this fight. You're about to see the interesting camera angle that I was talking about earlier right there, where I can watch the hunters in the back, see when it's going to spawn. You'll see I prematurely put my mushrooms down there. Lots of lava parasites exactly where I dropped the mushrooms, as you can spawn mushrooms through your back, and very effective mushroom explosion, is either coming up or has occurred. Right there, it got a few. So, what having this camera angle helps with is knowing what's happening in your surroundings, as well as still being able to DPS the boss otherwise, because your character is facing the direction he needs to, whereas your camera is facing the optimal direction of knowing exactly what is going on behind you. I personally think this fight will be very interesting to do as a healer if I do get the honor of doing that, as there seems to be a lot of raid damage, and I always enjoy a challenge as a healer. So, pretty much just a generic fight at the moment, generic attempt for a generic strat that we have been using a couple of attempts now. The parasites are under much better control this time around, we all thought. There's the GTFO signal on that side. Interesting that the tank chose not to come over to us, but nonetheless, it was his choice, and his choice alone. He did pop cooldown when he did get swallowed here, which is the case. If the boss is not impaled on that spike within 30 seconds, the tank will die regardless of how much health he has at that point. When he gets impaled, the tank is released. You want to save your heroism or time displacement or whatever it's called for a phase like this. Also to note, prior to this phase, while they're riding on his back, there is a large amount of group damage done. This is where a Moonkin might want to pop Tranquility, and also right now there is absolutely no damage being done, assuming the lava parasites were killed at the appropriate time. So this is when you want to regen mana, and if mana is not an issue and simply the duration of the fight is, you could even have healers help DPS in that stage of the fight, as there is no damage to be healed. I actually got physically hit by the boss there for 94,000 damage, and then I got the spew, which left me pretty much dead, and then I finally died from the AoE. So, not fun. This is just about wrapping up this attempt, which was significantly better, if not a little disappointing, in it being our last attempt, as we were improving every time we tried this, which is the important thing. Getting them down is nice, but improving every time is very important as well. So don't look that over. Thank you for watching. This has been Sethaldor of the server Blade's Edge in the Guild Sacrilege on the character Taladorna on the topic of raid analysis for Magmaw in Blackwing Descent with my guild scouting group. Again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, please thumb up, and please comment on the video if you enjoyed it. I cannot wait to make another one for you guys. This was really enjoyable, if not a lot of work, and it was just generally fun to get in and beat on a boss with a bunch of friends again. It's been a little while. So yeah, thanks for watching, and can't wait to put another one out for you. See ya!